As always, the reading from the Old Testament is chosen because of its link with the Gospel, and we have here a passage which might be used in the context of the octave of prayer for Christian unity, linked also with the Gospel, which has a similar theme. We should not be more closed-minded than the Holy Spirit, or in any way blind or blinkered to his action outside the parameters to which we are used. This was something which I was very much aware of in student days. In a place like Aberystwyth or Bangor, where it was massively Protestant, one could not but be aware that the Spirit of God was out and about in unexpected corners. And indeed, one learnt a lot from the way that there was coherence, authenticity, and sincerity outside our own familiar parameters, which allowed that Spirit to move. What do we learn from that? If that is the case outside, the positive will of God that there should be one church, one truth, one hierarchy, well, what would it be if within that one church, one hierarchy, one faith, we were as open as some of our brethren? Therefore, we need to be careful about the sin of presumption. Truth, yes, is truth, but our own truth is not quite on the same level, and we can be very untrue within that truth. So we need to give the Spirit of God liberty to act, otherwise we have a situation where we have more or less an undetonated bomb. He can't fire it properly because we don't want what he wants to give. What then is the possibility of the maximum? Now, with regard to the Gospel itself, it's warning us that the salvation that we have is precisely a salvation against something, and in that we also find precisely the work of the Spirit of God doing his level best to save souls wherever they're at. We can be sure that when it comes to 1 second after death, the first question going to be asked of the soul is not perhaps what he had as regards an opinion on this or that theological issue, but how faithful was he to the theology that he had, that is, the light before his mind's eye. That we cannot get away from, and we have no excuse before. But having said that, the Lord has a positive will, and he wants souls to be saved, and he has precisely set up a part of the humanity which is his alone, in which he freely acts. All the rest has come out of that as kind of fallout. Essentially, in our area, the Protestant Reformation, bits of the same. The great John Henry Newman put it this way: the Catholic Church is like a great field, surrounded on all sides by bits of itself. Therefore, they have grace by, as it were, overflow. The word, prayer, and therefore the generosity of that same Spirit which gets in through whatever chink he finds half open. But the warning in the Gospel is there. How many times in this short Gospel is hell coming in? The actual Greek is Gehenna, well, that's Hebrew, and it's a word we actually have in common with our Muslim brethren. They have the same word in Arabic. And therefore, this faces all humanity, the risk of Gehenna. It was a place of burning refuse, a pit of gloom visible before the Hebrews, a warning. What goes there? Precisely what has refused the light, the Spirit, the warmth of God. What we might call the fundamental option, no, go away, and the risk is there. But there are all the way there bits of go away, and they are what we call the occasions of sin, and the Lord puts them before us, and they're very modern. Plucking out the eye might mean turning off the computer, getting off anything risky, porno, impurity, bad theology, waste of time, and then by extension all that might lead to with regard to dangerous friendships. And then the children, the rest that we have, we all have to do with children. They must never hear any occasion of sin from us, a bad word, bad vibe, which the Lord would not own. Authority with control and dignity, not furious volcanic eruptions, which take away the dignity of a child. I conclude, the Spirit of God is unchanged, the truth of God is unchanged, but we are a nuisance to our own souls. If only we knew how to just say simply, over to you, Lord, or as they say in the races, over to you, Mr. Starter.